I'm Jared Porcenalek, and I am a software developer at Nebula Technology, with a couple of my coworkers there, and I also organize the Orlando Internet of Things meetup, and this talk is going to be about Microsoft IoT Hub and IoT Core.
Cool.
You guys are going to have to seriously bear with me. Things are going to go weird. So, as you guys all know, you guys remember Monsters, Inc., right?
Oh, yeah.
The movie? Well, as you all know, that blew the door wide open, right? We all know that monsters and humans have been living together, knowing that both worlds exist through the past 16 years since that movie came out, which is actually an educational docudrama in our world as monsters on our side of the door. Who here has seen the movie? Just so we can get a show of hands. Who here has no idea what I'm talking about? That's okay. Okay, that's fine. So, as you know, in the monster world, we had the scare floor. Actually, Mike and Sully, right? You guys know them?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So they were engineers at the company I work for, which isn't called Monsters Inc., by the way. It's called Industrial Power and Light. It'd be like humans naming their company Humans Inc. That'd be silly. So I think they did it for copyright reasons, because of our company in the monster world. So, anywho, you guys remember the scare floor where, the kid screamed on the other side of the door, created energy, goes into the canister, fills it up, and it updates a leaderboard. Does everyone remember that process?
Mm-hmm.
Well, of course, historically in the monster world, as you guys probably know from seeing the movie, we discovered that laughter had much more power than screams, and so we updated our whole system. And actually, now that we know that the human world exists, and you guys know that we exist, for the past 16 years, I've been an engineer on the team working with Microsoft. So we're starting to use Microsoft tools in the monster world. That's why I brought the prototype of the Laughter Canister 2.0 right here. And I wanted to show it off to you guys and explain a little bit of the engineering us monsters have done with Microsoft in the background. So let's get started. Yeah, so let's get our slimy little tentacles on this bad boy right here. So what's really cool about IoT Hub is that you can send, who here has heard of IoT Hub, first of all? Okay, does anybody want to take a crack at what it does? No? Okay, I'll say. So it's maybe like in Azure, there's a system called Events Hub, and it's very similar to that, where you send data and it moves it around where it needs to go, and it can take large amounts of messages, like millions of messages, IoT Hub can, per second, I think, and route them wherever they need to go. So that's what we have set up here. We have a Raspberry Pi 3 with IoT Core on it. Who's heard of IoT Core? Windows 10 IoT Core, yes? Windows 10 IoT Core is basically like Windows 10, but a little bit later, and it talks to what's called GPIO pins, or general purpose input-output. So a mouse would be like an input, and a screen would be an output. Well, a GPIO is like a temperature sensor might be an input, or an LED might be an output. So that's basically what IoT Core does, is it goes on little Internet of Things devices so that it can talk to the real world, and then take that information and do something with the real world, or go send it to the internet, or whatever. So I'm going to bring up a little application we have here, and just because it's a 15-minute demo, I'm not going to get too crazy with it. But so actually I do need a volunteer though. Do we have a volunteer? Someone who wants to join our crazy train? Come on up. All right, so you have to wear this because it's regulation. Whenever you're on the scare floor, Can
I take a selfie?
Yeah, go ahead. So, yeah, so what we have here, as you guys can see, is a little application that takes laughter energy and puts it through the internet via IoT Hub into our laugh canister. Do you know any good jokes?
I'm handsome.
And look, our meter is filled. Okay, so what's happening here is that we're using Microsoft Cognitive Services, which is another Azure specific thing, and they take, this is their speech to text, it's called Bing speech to text. I don't know why they branded it Bing, but basically they take what people are saying. You can take the hat off. I'm so sorry, Santosh, thank you. You stayed safe, I appreciate it. Have a good round of applause for our guest. Thank you. Okay, so it took my laughter and turned it into ha-ha-has, sent it over to IoT Hub, and routed that message down to this particular device. That's one thing that's really cool about IoT Hub. And one concern in the IoT space is security. Everybody's worried about their bears, like their teddy bears. Everybody's talking to their teddy bears. I mean, we don't worry about that because we have a door. We can just walk into any child's bedroom at any time because we're monsters. But anyway, people are worried about security. So what's cool is IoT Hub takes care of that for you, end to end, for the most part. I mean, obviously you do have to worry about things, but it's secure and it knows if your device that's connected to it is the right device or if it's a fake. So, anywho, that is the little program that I can use to light up my lights. And I also have another program that does a leaderboard. I don't think I have enough time for that, but if you come to Code Camp, you'll see that. But you guys didn't come for the fun, even though this is fun. And I've been told that by myself quite a lot. You came to see, to learn the technical side of things. So how did I get, by the way, let's actually do it. Let's show you what's on this little device. There's a little hidden device back here. Inside the screen canister, actually the lap canister. Let's see if it's gonna connect up to our, there we go. So as you can see, we have, just so you guys know, there's a little device back here, Raspberry Pi. Who knows what Raspberry Pi is? Okay, cool. Just a little tiny computer. This one's like $45. It comes with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth on it, and it's going to be used. You can use it for any little project you want. And this one, I made an application for it. Which, to make an application for IoT Core, which is the basically Windows 10 Lite running on here, you just make a universal Windows app. So it's like if you've done WPF, it's like that. If you've done WinForms, don't tell anybody, but it's like kind of that lineage. So Universal Windows app is truly universal. It actually runs on this, and it can run as a headless device, headless application, which means I wouldn't be able to plug it in and see it on the screen. What's cool about that is it uses less energy. So I made this little application that receives the laughter energy, because we're monsters. Keep that in mind. And it will take it and figure out if it's laughter energy, if it's just regular talk energy, and then it'll light up these lights in the front. So yeah, and then I can show you what happens when I just send a reset to it from my little application over here, which you can't see anymore. But you'll see, hopefully if everything goes according to plan, our lights have gone away. So yeah, that's the long and short of how it works, and you can see that there's no magic happening. It's just basically some pins that turn on and turn on some lights. How much time do I have left?
You have a good 6 minutes left.
6 minutes, great. Let's get into the technical part of it.
More laughter.
Keep in mind, we'll still have questions.
Oh, no questions. No questions. No, we have a pact in the monster world. No questions. No, I'm just kidding. Of course, there can be questions. Happy to answer any and all questions as long as they're easy and I can answer them. So what does this all look like? I'm going to stop this, and the demo's done. Everybody can be excited about that. You don't have to pay any attention to that anymore. But essentially, what I did was, when you want to install, like, so let's say you guys are like so excited, you're like, oh my god, what am I going to do with IoT Core? I can go buy a $45 Raspberry Pi 3. I could buy the $10 one. You guys see the $10 one came out with Wi-Fi and stuff on it? So you can go buy that today, or whenever they sell it to you. And you can install IoT Core. And what you do is you Google IoT Core, and then you download this dashboard. And this dashboard is like your key to entry. You can see what devices you have on your network. I see I have Scarefloor on my network. And you can set up a new device. So you can actually decide what kind of device you want to use. There's all sorts of options. I don't know. These are other boards that I've not used. You can, and then basically you just format a SD card, plug the SD card into the Raspberry Pi 3 or whatever media you want into whatever device you want, and then that's your operating system. It's just running off an SD card in here, which is amazing. A micro SD card. I just can't believe it. It actually has more hard drive space on this micro SD card than my first computer. So that's fun. So then, yeah, you can connect to Azure and then do lots of cool stuff there, and they have lots of sample apps. So that's basically the IoT dashboard. This is just an application that you get when you install the tools, the SDK for IoT Core, and you use this to manage stuff. You can also, for those of you who love PowerShell, PowerShell into the device, and I'm not sure if I can, yeah, okay, so anyway, this is extremely boring, and I'm not going to show you everything, because honestly, there's nothing I want to do, maybe shut it down or something, but you can PowerShell into it and run commands, so you can decide what app you want it to start as soon as you turn on the device, so that's really helpful when it's headless. So let's say you want to use it out in the field to measure like oil pressure in pipes, or in our case, children's screams, or laughter, anyway, you put it out there and you can say like what application you want it to start automatically as soon as it turns on, so that you don't have to worry about it shutting down and like, okay, how do I have to hook up a mouse, I have to hook up a screen. No, you just restart it and the apps were already running. So that's just some tools that you can use, some familiar tools. I mean, it sounds scary, you know, you don't have a screen. Well, you can, but you don't have to. But the power of IoT Hub, in conclusion, is that about in conclusion time?
You have about 3 minutes.
Okay, so starting slowly into the in conclusion time. IoT
Still take
Hub,
questions. So
yeah,
you can
We have
IoT
lots of
Hub,
questions.
just as a broad view, is like Events Hub, but it's specifically for IoT devices because it handles lots of messages, it's secured, and a third thing. And then there's IoT Core, which is the operating system which runs on devices. They are two separate things. They don't have to deal with each other. You can send messages from anything using like MQTT, which is a pretty common messaging protocol for IoT. It's like HTTP, but it sends things in a little different way. Or you can use IoT Core, which is what's running here, completely separate from IoT Hub. You don't have to use IoT Hub. They're two separate things, just to have that in your mind's eye when you start looking it up. One's for handling a bunch of messages on the cloud, one's for running an operating system on a tiny device, and I think the requirements are like ridiculously low. Like, basically, if you bought a brand new computer in 1995, it could run IoT Core quite comfortably. So, just some cool things there about that. I'm ready to take questions. Let's just do it.
So, how much power does it require for, well, especially for adding more I/O, and how much I/O does basic Raspberry Pi start with?
Great question. So, the Raspberry Pi, in particular, is a middle-of-the-road device in the term of computing. Like, if you were to find the smallest tiny microcontroller, and you were to find like a supercomputer, it would be somewhere in the middle. This has a 5-volt, 2.5 amp requirement, but really you can run much less than that if you use less GPIO. So right now, with these LEDs, I mean, I could probably run 1.5 amps pretty comfortably, which I don't know if that means anything to you, but like an iPad will charge with 2.1 amps. So an iPhone will charge with 1, maybe, I think. It doesn't matter. It's in the realm of that. Your little small ARM devices, although iPhone's not ARM, but like a phone. It's a phone environment power-wise. GPIO-wise, there's a ton of pins available for you to mess with. I think there's just, I don't even know. I didn't get up that far. There's like 27 or something like that now. And there's other pins for other purposes, like resetting it or whatnot. Yeah.
So, at a high level, did your device then have a microphone? It heard the sounds, shot it up to Azure, Azure IoT.
I can explain the architecture.
Okay, yeah,
Okay,
high level.
So high level, my computer has a WPF application, which is sad. I should use the, Universal Windows app, but
Mhm.
whatever. Just to prove the point, Yeah. Locally, I had a WPF application that called into Azure with the microphone, and I used a sample app, by the way. I didn't write this all myself.
Okay.
I modified a sample app to do this, so you can do it too. It called into Azure, and then it got back text. So it sent audio, got back text,
I
and
see.
it does really cool, like it breaks up the audio into little chunks and gets it back really quickly. And then I took that text and sent it to IoT Hub, which sent it to this specific device, which was
Okay.
listening for messages from IoT Hub. And that text, this took the text then, and then decided whether or not it needed to add to a list of LEDs, whether they're on or off. And then when it gets to the top, I can, decide what to do.
So
then.
where did cognitive services fit into all that? In the first phase?
Cognitive services is just a fun way of sending the textual ha-ha-has. I could just
I
type,
see. Okay.
It's cognitive services. was
It's text to
that
speech? Or
text to
speech to text?
No,
Yeah,
speech
speech
to
to
text.
text.
Gotcha,
My bad.
that was
yeah,
it.
speaking
Yeah, gotcha.
Speech to text. You don't need to do that. It's just
No, it added
was
totally.
a little bit of fun
It
and
made it good.
Why, that's not running on the IoT core.
No, that's not running here.
That's
it
right.
Could. It could.
Okay.
You can connect a microphone. It would have enough processing power to handle that. It's just sending audio files over the internet.
But you needed to test the connection to get the hub to work, because you was in Azure.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, to demonstrate the IoT hub, you have to have two devices really to demonstrate.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
great.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. You need at least two devices, but again, they can scale out so wide. But yeah, you need at least two devices, one talking to the other. And the reason why I did this, I actually have a third application I didn't show that I will be showing at CoCamp, where this device is telling you when the meter gets full, and it updates that meter board. So I have three apps. I have an app on here, I have an app on the computer, and another app on the computer. One on the app on the computer, sending it to IoT Core on this small device, and then that device updating the computer